You know that feeling, right?
Yeah.
You're watching something, maybe scrolling through your phone at the same time,
Oh, yeah.
maybe even got like a work email open on the side.
Hmm.
It feels like our lives are just soundtracked by this constant hum of doing multiple media things at once.
It really does.
And if you're anything like most people,
Mm.
especially maybe teens or young adults, you're probably juggling a few screens right now, even listening to this.
It's kind of become the default way of being, hasn't it? The digital world just throws so much at us. It's almost designed to make us switch attention constantly.
Absolutely. But the really interesting question, I think, is what all this mental juggling, what's it doing to some of our really fundamental skills?
You mean things like focus?
Yeah, like staying focused, managing different tasks, being able to shift our thinking when we need to, stuff we call cognitive control.
Right. Think of it as the air traffic controller for your brain. Really
Yeah.
crucial.
That's a good way to put it. You need good cognitive control to, well, navigate your day effectively, right?
Mm.
Concentrating on work, learning something new without getting instantly sidetracked.
Exactly. Which brings us, I think, to the core of what we want to dig into today.
Hmm.
How does this constant media multitasking habit, how does it actually affect that air traffic controller?
Right. And to get a clearer picture, we're looking at some really solid research. It's a meta-analysis by Kong and colleagues from 2023.
Yeah, published in Educational Psychology Review. And what makes this so useful is the sheer scale of it.
That's big, isn't it?
It is. They pulled together findings from 43 separate studies. That's 118 different result sets they looked at.
Wow.
So it lets us see beyond maybe conflicting results from single studies and spot the bigger patterns.
Okay, so instead of just one piece of the puzzle, we're getting a look at like the whole picture, pretty much.
Pretty much.
And the headline finding. What's the main takeaway?
Well, the main finding is what they call a moderate mean negative association.
Okay, translate that for us.
It basically means, on average, the more someone reported doing media multitasking, the slightly poorer their overall cognitive control tended to measure.
So a general link.
Yeah,
More multitasking, maybe slightly weaker control.
exactly. But, and this is important, it's not a simple one-to-one thing. It's an association, not a definite cause and effect. And it doesn't hit all parts of cognitive control the same way.
Ah, okay. So there are nuances. We need to break it down.
Definitely. The nuances are where it gets really interesting.
Right. So let's drill down then. First specific area they looked at was inhibitory control. What's that and what do they find?
So inhibitory control is basically your brain's brake pedal. It's the ability to resist distractions, filter out stuff that's irrelevant, and just stay focused on your goal.
Okay, like ignoring phone notifications when you're trying to talk to someone.
Precisely. And what the meta-analysis indicated is that people who do a lot of media multitasking, the heavy multitaskers, they tended to show weaker inhibitory control compared to the light multitaskers.
So if that control is weaker, maybe that explains why it feels so hard sometimes to ignore that blinking light or that ping from your phone when you're trying to concentrate.
Exactly. Your brain's just a bit less effective at putting up that mental filter, you know?
Yeah.
Those digital interruptions become harder to ignore.
Right, like trying to read in a really noisy cafe, but the noise is coming from your own devices.
That's a great analogy. Yeah. The digital distractions become that noisy environment that's harder to tune out if your inhibitory control isn't as strong.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. What about the next bit of cognitive control, working memory?
Yeah, another key piece. Working memory is like your mental workbench or your brain's RAM, you could say. It's where you hold information temporarily and work with it.
Like remembering a phone number while you dial it or following recipe steps.
Exactly, holding and manipulating info. And the findings here pointed in a similar direction.
Okay.
The heavy media multitaskers also tended to show poorer working memory performance compared to the light multitaskers on average.
So practically speaking, this could mean maybe finding it harder to follow complex instructions someone gives you. Or like remembering details from a meeting if you were kind of checking email on the side.
That's the idea. It's like your mental workspace gets cluttered more easily. Or maybe it has a harder time holding on to all the necessary pieces of information while you're processing them.
It feels like things might just slip out of your head more easily if you're constantly juggling inputs.
Yeah, or imagine trying to do mental arithmetic while someone keeps shouting random numbers at you.
Right, impossible.
It just makes the task much harder because you can't keep the relevant numbers straight in your head. It's a similar kind of interference potentially.
Okay, so we're seeing this pattern. More media multitasking seems linked to weaker inhibitory control and weaker working memory.
Generally speaking, yes, that's what the meta-analysis suggests.
But there was one area where they didn't find a significant link, right? Cognitive flexibility. That surprised me a bit.
It is interesting, isn't it? Cognitive flexibility is your ability to switch between different tasks or different ways of thinking, to adapt when rules change.
Yeah, and you'd almost think intuitively that constantly switching between apps or websites would, like, train that muscle, make better at switching.
That's the common assumption, maybe. But the data didn't strongly support that. No significant difference found between heavy and light multitaskers on measures of cognitive flexibility.
So why not? If you're switching all the time.
Well, one thought is that the kind of switching involved in media multitasking, often very fast, maybe quite shallow shifts between familiar things, might not be the same as the kind of deeper, more deliberate mental gear shifting that standard cognitive flexibility tests measure.
Ah, okay. So clicking between YouTube and Instagram isn't quite the same mental workout as, say, switching between writing a report and then analyzing complex data.
Potentially, yes. They might engage different underlying processes. Or another possibility is that while you might feel faster at the surface level switching, that underlying capacity for deeper flexibility isn't actually changing much. Or maybe it's even slightly hindered in other ways not captured by these specific tests.
So lots of quick switches don't automatically make you a master mental gymnast for the harder stuff.
Seems that way based on this analysis. And there's another complicating factor they mentioned.
Oh.
The way cognitive control is actually measured in the different studies mattered.
How so?
Well, they found that the specific type of test used the dependent variable's measurement type. In research terms, actually influenced the strength of the association they saw.
Okay, so it's not just if you measure cognitive control, but how you measure it. Different tests might give slightly different results regarding the link to multitasking.
Exactly. It adds a layer of complexity. It suggests maybe different tests are tapping into slightly different facets of these abilities, and maybe media multitasking affects those facets differently. The meta-analysis didn't break down which specific test showed what, but it highlights that methodology is really important here.
Got it. That's crucial context. Now, I bet some listeners are thinking, but I feel like I'm really good at multitasking. How does that feeling square with this research?
That's a super common point, and it highlights a potential gap between our subjective feeling of being effective and our actual objective performance.
Right.
Some research suggests frequent multitaskers might overestimate their abilities. They might feel productive, maybe they get good at the act of switching quickly, but when you measure accuracy or depth of processing on the individual tasks,
The performance might not be as good as they think.
it might not. There could be hidden costs, maybe more errors, maybe shallower learning, even if they feel efficient because they're switching fast.
Yeah.
So there's often a difference between perceived skill and measured cognitive performance.
So that feeling of being a multitasking ninja might not fully reflect what's happening under the hood, cognitively speaking.
It's definitely something to consider. And just to reiterate a really key point, this meta-analysis shows an association, a correlation.
Right, not causation.
Exactly. It doesn't definitively prove that media multitasking causes poorer cognitive control.
So it could be the other way around. Maybe people who already have, say, slightly less effective inhibitory control find themselves drawn more to the constant stimulation of multitasking.
That's possible. Or it could be a bit of both, a kind of feedback loop. Or maybe there are other underlying factors influencing both media habits and cognitive skills.
Like what? Sleep, stress?
Things like that, yeah.
Yeah.
The relationship is probably pretty complex and likely works in multiple directions. We need more research to really untangle the cause and effect pathways.
Okay, so let's try and bring this together for people listening. We've got this overall picture. A moderate negative link between heavy media multitasking and cognitive control, especially impacting inhibitory control, your focus shield and working memory, your mental workbench.
Right.
But interestingly, not so much cognitive flexibility, at least as it's typically measured.
Correct. And the way we measure these skills also seems to play a role in the results we see.
So why should someone listening care about this? How does it connect to, just getting through the day?
Well, think about what most of us want, right? To learn efficiently, to feel on top of our work, not constantly overwhelmed, maybe gain useful insights.
Yeah, absolutely.
These findings touch directly on that. In this world where media is always grabbing for our attention, understanding these potential links can help you be maybe more intentional about your own media habits.
So if you're feeling like you can't concentrate or information just isn't sticking,
It might be worth just pausing and reflecting. Like, How much am I trying to juggle different media streams simultaneously, especially when I need to really focus or learn something new?
It's not about saying multitasking is always bad, is it?
Not at all. It's more about awareness, recognizing potential trade-offs, understanding that maybe for tasks that demand deep focus or really rely on your working memory, switching off those other streams might actually boost your performance and maybe reduce that feeling of being overwhelmed.
It's about being more mindful, maybe strategic, about how we use our attention in this media-saturated world.
Exactly. Fostering a bit more mindfulness around media use, knowing when single tasking might actually be the more effective strategy for your brain's resources.
Okay, so summing it all up for everyone.
Hmm.
This deep dive, based on that big meta-analysis, suggests this moderate negative link between doing a lot of media multitasking and certain key cognitive control skills specifically, inhibitory control and working memory.
Yep. While cognitive flexibility didn't show that same clear link in this particular analysis. And remember, how we measure these skills matters too.
Which leads us, I think, to a really good question for listeners to maybe mull over. Given what we've discussed, what could be some potential implications of your own media multitasking habits? How might that constant switching be affecting your focus, your memory, maybe your learning, or even just how present you are in different parts of your life, work, study, relationships?
That's the key reflection, isn't it? How does this resonate with your own experience? It's definitely worth thinking about.
It really is. And while this meta-analysis gives us some really valuable clues,
It's clear this is still a super active area of research, right? The connection between our constantly evolving digital habits and our cognitive functions is complex. Lots more to figure out.
for sure.
And maybe in future deep dives, we could explore some of those other angles, perhaps mechanisms behind these links, or even look at strategies people might use to, manage their media use in ways that better support their focus and well-being.
Sounds like a plan. Definitely more to explore here.